Hi everybody, welcome back to Giant Talk, the world's first OKR podcast, brought to you alongside the awesome guys at Coan, the dedicated OKR platform. I am delighted to have alongside me once again Georgia, who heads up our OKR culture practice at Derby Giants, and Roger, founding giant of Derby Giants. Thanks for joining us again, guys.
Hi.
So despite the fact that these are the same guests that we've had to do the mini-series, this episode is not part of the mini-series. So listen to this one at your leisure, no prerequisites required. Because today we're going to be talking about something a little bit different, actually. We're going to be talking about the OKR Coach Role and our OKR Coach Academy that sits alongside it, which Georgia and Roger have been pivotal in putting together over the last few months. I know blood, sweat and tears has gone into it. So it seemed like the least I could do was let them record a podcast about it, really. Georgia, can you just give us a quick introduction to yourself and your role at Derby Giants?
Yeah, sure. So I'm leading on the OKR culture practice for the Derby Giants, a role I'm really enjoying and getting lots of stimulation and challenge and support from. And that's really about helping organisations think about the conditions that need to be in place or emerging as they adopt and implement OKRs. And we come at that from a number of different perspectives. Psychological safety is one, cultural values assessments is another, and they're also then linking to the academy, thinking about those kind of skills and qualities that an OKR coach needs in order to be able to interact and engage effectively around those cultural pieces while supporting teams and tribes to crack on with OKRs.
Beautifully put. Thanks, Georgia. And Roger, who are you then?
So I'm the one who's been the pain in everybody's backside, making sure that this gets done. I've been passionate about building the OKR Coach Academy for quite a while. And you know what? Kind of the events of this year have given us a bit of time to invest in this. I'd like to say actually we've been quiet during lockdown, but we weren't really. But somehow or another we've managed to do this. I think it's maybe because we're not going off all around the world doing projects, so perhaps less travel time has meant we've had a chance to do that. It's there's clearly a big demand for OKR training, and I've always likened it to how agile as a methodology has developed over the past 10 to 15 years. You know, a group of people got together, said this is a really good idea. They created a manifesto and to say what they stood for, and it kind of just sort of all evolved and became quite a big movement. And I can see OKRs going in the same direction. There's a lot of parallels, but at the moment, you know, there are no really clearly defined sort of standards of practice in the realm of OKRs. And from that obviously means there's no sort of, you know, widely recognized qualifications or certifications or accreditations or whatever you wish to call it. So we're trying to show some leadership in that area, in that space, trying to move this forward. And this is all about us creating something which we think is just going to be really, really nice to have. There's a lot of organizations, a lot of our clients have said to us, you know, we'd like some formal training around this. And we've only really had the training that's been done through knowledge transfer as we've been doing our projects. And really, you know, we needed something that was absolutely 100% focused on learning and skills development, not just delivery of a project as well. And you know, you've met Georgia already. I was really, really keen to get Georgia in because I've known Georgia for over 10 years, and I knew that she'd be much, much better at the soft skills, the management skills, the leadership skills, the cultural skills than I would be. I love it, completely believe in it, get quite a bit of it, but she's much better at it than I am. So yeah, I'm super pleased that Georgia's with us on this one, definitely.
Thank you, Roger. I'm not sure that is the case, But you are definitely better at the technical stuff than I am.
A crack pair. Cool, right. So, Roger, I mentioned at the start, this has been built all around the OKR coach role. How do you define this role?
So the OKR coach is the person or the people in the organization who are kind of the custodians of best practice. They're the ones that know, first of all, how to write good OKRs, but then secondly, how to help teams create them, whether that be a leadership team or whether that be any other team in the organization, how to help structure OKRs across or run the whole sort of OKR framework across the organization. So, that's a lot of synchronizing of timings and timescales and so on and so forth. So there's quite a bit of sort of management which needs to happen there. But they are people that can operate, at high levels, sort of in a strategic sense, maybe when helping the leadership team, and then maybe at a more tactical level when helping other teams in the organization, to try to align in and create their OKRs based upon what the leadership team have come up with. So, yeah, they are super important. And what we find is that if an organization overlooks, the need for an OKR coach or coaches, depending on the size, then, there's a load of activity and a load of enthusiasm around the start of OKRs, but it just peters away because, the general maelstrom of everyday activity just starts to drown out OKRs and they just get dropped. So they disappear off the agenda. So the OKR coaches are really good at making sure that they keep the organization on track with OKRs in general.
Okay, so you answered my next two questions there, really. and I only have 9, so could be a very short podcast.
Sorry.
No, that's good. So we've covered the OKR coach role. We understand why it's important to have it in the organization. If it's not there within the organization, if it's not there given focus, given the airtime that it deserves, I think we've got to be pretty to the point and say, okay, our implementation has a much higher degree probability of failure within an organization. I think that's fair to say.
I would actually go so far as to say it will fail.
Well, there we go.
And one of the classic traps that I know we've seen, haven't we, is that you find that the sponsor on the leadership team is really super enthused and super engaged, and it's lovely to see. And they're kind of, I want to be a coach. I want to be a coach. You've got to let them down gently because they are not the right people or the right person to be a coach, because they haven't got the time to go and sit in a team meeting and help them develop their OKRs and so on and so forth. So so it's not right for anybody at sort of leadership level to be an OKR coach.
Yeah, agreed.
Koan is a purpose-built solution for managing OKRs, which helps teams achieve their objectives, be really aligned, and stay absolutely engaged. Shared spreadsheets simply don't scale when you're trying to grow a business. With Koan, you can scale OKRs across your entire company whilst keeping teams motivated and moving in the right direction. Now, Lawrence, I'd love you to tell me about one of the things that you like about Koan.
Well, for me, it's all about the reflections that Koan offer and encourage. And to be honest, this is really what sets Koan apart from me. And actually at There Be Giants, it's why we use Koan, isn't it?
Yeah.
We have always believed here at There Be Giants that the value of OKRs is in the conversations that you have. And the reflections feature really helps you to prepare for these and have super productive ones when the time comes. It allows for full transparency, and it encourages every individual to reflect on how they've supported OKRs over the past week or two, what they're going to do next to support those OKRs, but also gives people an opportunity to raise any concerns that they have that might be a blocker in the next couple of weeks, and also just to provide an honest reflection on the week. And it's really rare that we get the chance to do that in our hectic lives these days.
It certainly is.
It's a super important habit, and it's what we describe as the habit of heroes, really. So that is definitely my number one feature of COAM.
Thanks, Lawrence. That's really useful, really good to hear. So if you want to find out more about COAM, all you have to do is go to COAN, that's KOAN.co/giants, where you can actually find a great paper on how to develop accountability and collaboration using OKRs. So that's a special little freebie from us.
Okay, so I can sense it through the airwaves, Roger. All our listeners are now sat at home or on their commutes having a sheer panic, thinking about the fact that they don't have this skill set in their OKR organization, and you've just told them that their OKR implementation is going to fail and it's doomed to death. What can they do about it? How can we relieve this panic?
Well, we are all about taking away the pain, and we can do that by working with them to bring them onto our OKR Coach Academy, which has 3 levels of course to it. The first is OKR Activator, which is 100% e-learning, and that's a self-paced, self-learning module, which goes through all the basics in terms of OKRs. And it's great for someone who kind of just wants to raise their OKR skills. We've got a number of organizations that have actually taken, that course and made it their own internally, because it's just one that is a really good orientation and sort of foundation knowledge OKR course. And then we've got the OKR Coach, which builds on top of Activator, which then adds in blended learning, which combines both e-learning and Zoom workshops. Students progress through that in cohorts of 6, so they get the benefits of learning from each other. Peer learning. It can be run as open courses, so they're actually on the course with people from different organizations, or they could be run as closed courses, for people all from the same organization. And then building on top of that, we've then got Master, and Master's great for people who want to lead OKRs in an organization. Coach is good for people who want to help teams get good OKRs. Master's really good for people who want to help organizations become great at OKRs. And that just adds in some additional elements around the influencing, additional leadership skills, OKR program management skills as well. So that's the master level. So it's very accessible and very customizable as per people's requirements.
Brilliant. So Georgia, as our culture practice lead, we have just recorded a mini-series about this, but in case people haven't gone back and listened to that before listening to this episode, how important is culture and psychological safety when it comes to implementing OKRs?
The only word is critical, really.
We're being very dramatic today, aren't we?
Well, and in some ways, anything that you want to do in an organisation that's pushing for growth and stretch and requires challenge and contribution and learning, of course, having a healthy culture that facilitates and supports that and sufficient psychological safety is critical. So certainly from the OKR coach point of view, it's not just that ability to understand and translate and support teams to physically do OKRs. It's also that ability to observe and to notice and intervene around cultural issues or a lack of psychological safety in helpful and appropriate ways. So there's, these skills are often talked about as soft skills, but the truth is for many people, they're often actually a lot harder than just putting a process in place. And of course, the process won't work unless people are engaged and on board and feeling able to learn and contribute and challenge.
Okay, and do our academy courses start to train on those cultural and psychological safety soft and / or hard skills then?
What would be your best guess in answer to that question? It's a yes, absolutely. We've got both e-learning modules and facilitated workshops around that at coach and master level, because it really is about helping people take some key frameworks or some tools and applying to their own learning in terms of their own self-awareness and their own skill set and their own confidence and competence level to interact and engage with others, and apply that learning in practice on the ground around culture and psychological safety.
Yeah, it's interesting. Well, I think it's pivotal. We've done a number of OKR implementations, and
yeah,
as Roger said, if people don't get that bit right, it's gonna fail. And it's so often overlooked that it kind of would have been wrong of us not to include it. Let's put it that way.
And some of it may seem really basic, but in some of the basic stuff, such as listening skills or questioning skills, actually there's a whole load of potential subtlety, high skill, high emotional awareness that's required in order to be as effective as possible at OKR coach level or master level.
So, Roger, there are a number of OKR training courses out there, whether online, offline. What makes the OKR Coach Academy different to those?
Oh, now I hate being a me too, which is why we have gone all out to make sure this definitely isn't. So where we stand apart is that we are working very hard and will soon have third-party accreditation for our courses. I think it's really, really important that if an organisation is creating their own courses, especially a business which is not an academic organisation in the first place, it's really important for anyone who's looking at buying a place on that course that they get a sense that actually they're buying something that's credible, that has rigor to it, that is consistently delivered against certain standards and so on and so forth. All the things that we would expect of education in the first place. So it's super important that that's in place, and we're working with the Chartered Management Institute here in the UK to achieve their approval for our courses, to prove that our courses meet their standards. So that for me is going to be a significant differentiator, that we will have that third-party seal of approval.
Yeah, that is vital. I've not seen any others with that, I've got to say. But I think also what Georgia and I were just talking about is a bit of a differentiator as well. Those soft skills, and really putting so much of a focus on that and the culture of an organisation as well, rather than just here's how you write a good OKR.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think that is something that sets our approach, not just in the academy, I think in terms of our OKR projects, full stop. I think that's something that sets us apart from the majority of other consultancies out there.
Yeah, agreed.
That's one of the differentiators that I bring, in that I've been teaching coaching skills to postgraduate level for well over a decade. And so I really have an understanding of what it takes to learn how to coach in the most broad sense, let alone learn how to coach teams to implement OKRs successfully. So that adds a whole load of specificity into the mix in a way that sits, on top of how to get people to change their behaviour, how to get people to engage, how to get people to say to you, I'm struggling with this, could you help? Which, that OKR coach role really does require people to be skillful at and very reflective about and self-aware about in terms of their own growth and development and their ability to support and influence others effectively.
Absolutely. So you mentioned earlier, Roger, that there are different levels to the academy. Would you suggest that, if a team was wanting to take this on, that the whole team attends the academy, or is it better suited to particular members of the team or certain members doing different levels, or how would you suggest the team goes about getting involved?
So if we're looking at the example of a team, then I would say probably one person in that team it might be appropriate for them to be coach, but then everybody else, so that they have that foundation knowledge, does activator.
Okay, where would the master come in then?
Master is if we're looking at the organisation overall. So if you're looking at multiple teams and somebody wants to lead on an implementation or lead on maintaining and overseeing and the management of OKRs across an organisation, that's where master would come in. Gotcha.
How do people actually get involved then? You know, we've talked about it. Where can people find it?
Head on over to therebegiants.com. There's a page on there that's given over to the academy, and you can find out all the information that you need to know there. And you can inquire about coach and master there, or if you want to do activator, you can click on the sign up and go straight in and do it. So that's accessible 24/7, 365 days a year.
Fantastic.
Great for sleepless nights and insomnia. I think activator. You can do it whenever you choose at the pace that you wish.
That is our target market.
Along the way.
Yeah, absolutely. If you want any kind of advice on which level is right for you, you know, please do use the chat function. The chat function on our website is answered by me. It's not just a bot that's going to take your details. I will come on live and talk to you, you lucky things.
So you mean if there's any groupies out there that want to get hold of you directly?
Any Giant Talk groupies, yeah. Absolutely, come over to the chat bot. But yeah, any advice that you want about which course might be right for you, or if you'd like us to, maybe talk to you about designing an in-house cohort for your team or your organization. All of that's possible. You just drop us a message and we'll have a chat and see what we can piece together for you. But it's something we're super excited to bring to the market for you guys, something that's going to be massively valuable to everyone out there. And we hope you manage to make use of it. Roger, Georgia, thank you for joining me and telling everyone about the Academy and what it is that we're bringing to the table.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And to everyone listening at home, thank you very much. Stay safe as this crazy year continues, and keep listening to Giant Talk, the world's first OKR podcast, brought to you alongside the awesome guys at Coan. We'll speak to you very soon. Goodbye.